3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Hello and welcome back to the PowerDrift podcast. I still have Jehan with me. In case you missed our last conversation, we spoke about motorsports, the good and the bad, what we like, what we don't like, tracks in India, how to become a motorcycle racer, so on and so forth. But in this episode, we're going to move away from that topic and talk about something that we do very often, and that's touring. But it's not just touring in India. We're going to subdivide it into a lot of subtopics. So, is touring safe in India? What do you say? Let's say, how do you prepare yourself for a tour? What are the things that you would love to carry? And a lot of other things. So, how often do you tour, say, as a part of your job or as a part of just your hobby?
So both of us we do a lot of riding for the camera, right?
Correct.
So in a week we are riding like twice at least. We are doing 200-300 kilometers a day, right?
Easy.
Yeah. So 2 days of the week we are doing this, but that's not touring for us, right? If that we are doing a job. So touring for me is when I'm taking a break from my work. I am disappearing. I am switching off my mobile and I'm going. So it often happens once in 3 months, once in 4 months for me. And typically the destination is Goa for me. Not because it is Goa, but because the roads to Goa, right, is what attracts me. And thanks to certain friends who have explored the region better, so I like to take different routes to Goa. So this time around, I went through this Karad Amba Ghat section.
Oh, that's a really nice route.
And you can tour on any motorcycle. I took the Continental GT 650. Okay,
The new one?
Yes.
Okay.
Just because people have this perception that cafe racers are tiring or they are uncomfortable or anything, and I just wanted to set the record straight or see whether how tiring or how troubling was it on the experience. But that bike just took everything in its stride, right? And it's not like it's very comfortable like a adventure tourer or a roadster would be, but it's just that you need to change your mindset and you need to be better prepared to undertake a journey on a motorcycle such as that, right? So yeah, I do it once in 3 months, once in 4 months. I have done trips like the G Quad. I have done Spiti. I've done a little bit of Northeast. South we've ridden with BMWs and stuff. So in terms of exploring the country, we have done a fair bit, right?
I think touring for me is the leisure part has not happened in a while. It's mostly work. But this
You need to take a leave from PowerDrift for some time. Okay, give Karan and Ananya some work to do, and you disappear.
No, but honestly, I think the last tour that I did was back in 2012 or 2013. That was Run of Kutch with a friend of mine, and he was a part of the CBR 250R group. So I went from Mumbai to Kutch, explored the region. No work, no nothing, and got back to Mumbai. So it was like a nice 6-7 day trip. Fortunately, last year, there were a couple of events that happened in Goa, and the whole purpose was to just get to Goa. There was no shoot on the way. And for me, I will consider that as a break too, because if I am on the motorcycle on a highway, especially when I'm traveling from one place to another, the preference is to not have cameras rolling. The preference is focus, tank to tank to tank to tank, enjoy, listen to some nice music if you have intercom. But that's for me is touring in India.
We like bringing content to you guys, but it gets to us, okay? It gets to us.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about PowerDrift, and I will speak for PowerDrift, is that we shoot a lot of things, which is great because our edit requires that. And in the process of shooting, we end up stopping quite a bit. So by the time it's like so if you're doing a Mumbai to like a Pune to Goa story, and I will tell you this, okay? Mumbai to Goa first IPW. There was a song that got famous. I've been dreaming all my life. So that video, I was we started at. I was in office at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Okay. By the time we did our office shoot, by the time we got out on the highway, it was 6:30 a.m. Shot, kept shooting along the way, took breaks, shot. Ultimately reached Goa at 10:30 p.m. 10:30 p.m.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
So I mean, work's sort of been that, but I love touring, man. I think
Yeah.
it's a great way to explore. It's a great way to learn. It's it's just an escape for me.
Disconnect.
That word. It's that word for me. It's
Disconnect.
disconnect. It's disconnect from work. It's disconnect from everybody. Uh, Touring also is a process for me, and the ride, just like a film for me.
Yeah.
If I have to say, be a part of a film, that film begins before I start shooting. Similarly, touring for me begins before I actually hop
Yeah.
onto the motorcycle. So there's like
So what are your
planning.
pre-ride thoughts or processes that you follow?
So I have a checklist.
Yeah.
A checklist that remains standard for all my work trips, for all my long trips, for everything, for international trips, everything. And that applies to touring as well. So there's a list, and there are two bags involved.
Okay.
So one is a bag that I don't carry on my back, and one is a backpack. So the one that I don't carry on my back, like a saddle bag or a tail bag, that the stuff that goes in that is completely different. And my backpack, I love to keep it really light. I would love to transition to a phase where I don't have to carry a backpack anymore, because I find that to be a little strenuous. Or get a backpack that does not put strain like the one that you have, like
Kriega.
Kriega.
Yeah.
That does not put a lot of strain on your back,
Yeah.
on your neck and your shoulders and back,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's a process, man. I love planning stuff.
Yeah.
So I love searching for fuel stops. I love searching. I mean, I don't love
Yeah.
searching, but I would want to know where my fuel stop is. So I get an approximate range in my head, plan a fuel stop, get
You're
a breakfast stop
You're
ready.
the prepared kind.
Always.
Yeah.
Over prepared. Over prepared.
Yeah.
So fuel stop, food stop, uh, just very basic planning. But I like to know things. I will always carry a puncture kit. I will always carry an inflator. I will always have extra, like a protein snack or a protein bar. I'll always have hydration. I will keep myself ready. Documents ready, air pressure ready, fuel tank to the brim.
Yeah.
Like primary checks are always done.
Yeah.
And that's how, this is the first step of planning before setting out on a tour. What is yours?
Virtually more or less similar. I don't carry a puncture kit because
You ride tube tires.
no, because in my experience, very rarely am I experiencing punctures nowadays. Right? Even the biggest of super bikes like the Hayabusa and everything, we've not faced a puncture. We rode it for like 7 days for a shoot, multiple shoots, and it only faced puncture once, and that too because we went through a very bad stretch of road. Right? So punctures as such are not happening, at least on the known roads, the good roads. So I'm not carrying a puncture kit, and plus I can ride a motorcycle to the nearest puncture wala and safely that way. I have a little bit of skill so that I can mitigate that problem to an extent. I am carrying a tire inflator because it's not just riding to the destination, but when you're coming back, I would like to fill up air to the correct spec. I am filling up fuel in the night before. I am checking my chain because that is one of the most neglected parts. So I'm checking my chain condition, and as such, I like to keep my headlights clean. Okay, especially in the monsoons, I like to keep my headlights clean, and I'm pretty sure I'm starting at, say, usually at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., which is there. It's dark, it's pitch dark. There is a lot of truck traffic, but I like riding there because A, it is cooler to ride, and B, I can cover distances a little bit faster. Right? So, and again, I'm not a big believer of carrying too much load on the
Backpack.
shoulder or backpack. But because I have the Kriega, and I'm thankful to the people who have suggested that backpack to me, and I've made sure to utilize every single penny that I've spent on it. That backpack carries my laptop, carries my hydration pack, carries a few snacks here or there, and carries a few extra like GoPro, power bank, and stuff. So that goes into that. But I don't carry, like, if it's a long tour, then of course I carry saddlebags or stuff. But if it's a short 3-4 day trip, I'm carrying a tank bag.
Hmm.
Because what I find is rather than carrying the load behind you and it moving and slipping, once you have it in front of you, it's centralized so you can handle the weight of the entire experience well.
Got it. Is this the one from Rhinox?
Yeah.
Got
So,
it.
so there are loads of them. Rhinox makes one. If you are willing to spend more money, GV makes, SW Motec or something. All of those guys
With
make.
the tank lock.
Yes.
Yeah. Which
So
is a good
so
thing. Yeah.
those are for experience for higher performance motorcycles and far more expensive products. But sort of if you find value in them, you should go for it. But I find the Rhinox ones fairly nice and usable. And Rhinox primarily is a touring luggage accessories company. Like they do provide good gear, but their core business or the best part of the business is their luggage accessories.
Sure.
So I have the tank bag from them. I also have
The
their
Navigator.
I don't know
The
name.
50 liter.
No. The tank bag is the Magnapod.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a magnetic this thing.
Correct.
Which if you don't have a magnetic tank, you can also strap it up. So you can do that. And I have that Explorer. Okay,
Achha.
so which is basically a dry bag, a huge ass dry bag. Okay, what 35-40 liter roll top, and you can stuff whatever in it, and you just put it. So that is why if I'm going for a long trip, and that is where I used it for one of my Spiti trips with Triumph when I'd done the entire thing. So that was a brilliant thing, and uh, I like to have my gear also to be ready and laid out before I go to
Same.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not the kind of wearing. If I'm going on an adventure motorcycle, I want an adventure jacket, adventure pants, adventure boots. I think ATCAT is necessary, but my more thing is appropriate gear all the time, right?
Yeah, that's a good thought.
And in India, adventure jackets and pants are not going to be useful for sweltering conditions of if you're riding from Pune to Goa to Bangalore to Chennai or whatever. You're not going to be. It's going to be protective, but it's not going to be an easy task. You're going to suffer, right? If you're starting from Bombay, you're going to suffer even more. So I like mesh jackets. I like mesh pants. I am usually wearing perforated boots, gloves, and my helmet remains the same. Okay. And I don't have an adventure helmet yet, so I am still using my road helmet. It's only if I'm doing off-roading, which is a separate topic where I have a MX helmet, but my one road helmet remains the same for all tours.
Superb. Like for me, I think that's a good word that you put across. It's appropriate. So my riding gear is also dependent on weather. Like if I'm riding in the monsoons, then I will, and I think investing in the right gear is also very important. Of course, you have Gore-Tex pants and Gore-Tex jackets from a lot of brands now. Though a little expensive, but you have them. But make sure that those pants and jackets also have the right kind of ventilation, because if it stops raining and if you're fully zipped up from everywhere, it's going to be an oven inside. So getting the right kind of gear, even though it's a little expensive, is my advice to a lot of you guys who are listening to this podcast. But most of the times, I'm wearing a jacket that is mesh.
Yeah.
Mesh pants. I will suffer for 2 hours in the morning. I'm okay with that.
India is a mesh country.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Unless and until you're living in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Or the northeast where it is
relatively cooler,
raining or it's chilly. India is a mesh.
Most parts of the country, mesh is the way to go.
I would even go to that extent that Arun, who used to be with us at Zig Wheels, and he had gone for the Mustang trip, so he took an adventure jacket, okay, and the first 2 days of the trip was basically in the lower part of the Himalayas. So he said he was suffering in that jacket because it was so hot in that jacket, right? And temperature over there was still like 10 degrees, 12 degrees. So it's only when you're reaching 0 or closer to 0 degrees is when that jacket is going to come in helpful.
Yeah.
The flip side is I would rather suggest you get a good mesh jacket and invest in liners.
Yeah.
A thermal
liner.
Okay. Get base layers, which is a must. Okay. And you get good rain liners over. So you can remove them whenever you want.
Whenever you want. That's I think the pretty much the way
Yeah.
to go. I just want to add a couple of things to the preparation bit where you say
Yeah.
you like your gear laid out.
Yeah.
I also like to keep my helmet clean, ready. If you're
Yeah.
using an intercom, it has to be fully charged. Visor has to be ready. I always carry a spare visor, no matter what part of the day it is,
Yeah.
whatever it is, because I like to. For me, I believe in this motto of better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
That's why always a spare visor or even a clear visor, a different visor for that matter. But this is, let's say, a checklist. I also do a mental preparation.
Hmm.
So the night before the ride, I will have a very early dinner. I will try to sleep a little early. I will try to eat food that is easily digestible so that the next morning, if I have to wake up early, my stomach does not create a ruckus. And I just like to get in this zone before I sleep where I am fully focused, looking forward to the ride. So the moment I wake up, it's more of like, let's ride.
Yeah.
That mentality is extremely important. I know people who end up partying a night before the ride and just staying up super late and then being on a motorcycle very early in the morning. People have survived and they'll continue doing so.
Yeah.
But like I said, I always believe in better safe than sorry, and this is a part of that package. And I'll always be a lot more focused, and I have my own rituals and I have my own things. But do you do something like that?
Like you said, you like to eat early and everything, and I'll go to sleep early. Pre-ride, I always get these jitters the night before. Okay, always the stomach is gurgling, irrespective of how little or how much food I've had. I've always get this slight anxiety, and I am. This used to happen a lot more when I was younger. Now I've tried to ease my mind to it, so I listen to sleep music. Clearly,
You spoke like a 30-year-old.
Clearly the age is catching up to me, but yeah, like I put on sleep music and I put on something to soothe the nerves, right? So I am jittery going into bed, but the moment the first alarm comes, like shoot days, I have had to keep 4 or 5 alarms, but a touring day, a touring or a ride day, the first alarm rings and I'm like up.
Straight up.
Straight
In fact,
up.
I've gotten up like a couple of minutes or 5 minutes before. I'm like, oh, it's still not, I'm not sleeping anymore, but
Yeah.
it's time to go.
Yeah, so I get up and within like 10 or 15 minutes I'm ready. I don't like to have a bath before the ride because usually I take a bath the night before and I sleep so that I am sort of like clean in that sense only. So, and also I am going to get sweaty throughout the day. So might as well have a nice refreshing bath at the end. So I am ready. 15 minutes in and I'm out on the road. And that is the mental prep that goes into going for the ride, right? Making sure the straps are tied down of the luggage and everything, whatever. And if you're riding with a pillion, making sure that they are feeling comfortable initially itself.
Correct.
Right? Thought itself, like you are going to, so you have to prepare them also. Yeah. Especially when you have a partner who doesn't usually end up riding motorcycles or is that
Sitting
fond
behind,
of is that fond of speed as such, because we are so now let me say immune or accustomed
yes, that's the word.
to triple digit speeds that we find comfortable. But this was a shock for me previously, that you have to get them accustomed to that speed.
Yes.
Right?
Because speed gets to people in a different way. When you do 200 for the first time at a racetrack, it feels, oh my God, 200. But you do it again and you're like, 200. I mean, it takes a while.
Not the second time.
Not second time,
time,
but you get used to it.
Yes, yes.
And like you said, people, like we are so accustomed to being easy. We've attained that state of zen at say 100.
Yeah.
But someone who's sitting pillion, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
So you have to prepare them. You have to tell them
जाएंगे
कि कुछ नहीं होगा, मैं आराम से चलाऊंगा, मैं नहीं गिराऊंगा. I have been riding for 15 years. Don't you still trust me?
Statistics work in our favor sometimes.
Yeah. So that's the pre-ride prep.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What I also like to do when I get to the motorcycle, like the morning just before starting, just have a chat. I like to have a chat with the motorcycle as the motorcycle sort of warming up. It's not necessary, but I like to do it. It's more of you take care of me, I'll
Mm,
take care of you.
mm,
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
mm.
Be safe, and let's do it. And for me,
Yeah.
it's like people say prayers. That's my prayer. That's my state of connection. That's my relationship with
Huh,
with the motorcycle. And no
huh,
matter what the motorcycle is, my
huh,
motorcycle, media motorcycle, whatever it is,
huh.
for me, it's that chat which is
Mm,
very important, and it sets the tone for the rest of the ride.
mm. I'm not. I don't speak to my motorcycles before a ride or anything. So it's not something that way.
Mm.
But like you said, prayers, right?
Mhm.
I am not a super religious person. I believe that there is a force out there which is controlling, and that is there in the universe. But uh, I have this 10-second Parsi prayer, which is a quick prayer. So I just say that, and I start
Mm.
the ride. And for the first 10 minutes of the ride, I am just trying to gauge what the motorcycle is telling me,
Mm.
right? Like, and I'm not speeding at that first 10 minutes. It's basically more or less you're getting out of your society, you're getting out onto the highway, you're just making a way through the city. That is what the first 10 minutes of it is. So you're just getting the hang of it, you're getting comfortable with the bike, and that is where your connection or your communication with the motorcycle starts.
Mm.
It's sort of like foreplay. So,
Yeah, I
so,
get it.
so that is where your whole how your journey is going to pan out. Those first 10 minutes are crucial for me,
100%.
right? So if I am feeling extra jittery or nervous, my entire journey is going to be jittery or nervous. If I'm feeling drowsy in the first 10 minutes only, I am most likely going to end up stopping in the first 30 minutes itself, and I'm going to waste time,
Mm.
right? But if I'm feeling nice and easy on the bike in the first 10 minutes, chances are I will continue riding until my fuel level drops to trip F showing 30 km.
Mm.
Okay, this is on the Conti because I don't trust the fuel gauge on that.
Speedometer, yeah. The
So
fuel
so
gauge,
so
correct.
so I don't trust it. So unless the trip F shows me 30, I am riding till that, right?
Correct. Got it.
On that bike. So
Mm.
it depends on bike to bike again,
Mm.
but that is how I like to ride. And I'm not a big believer of taking a lot of stops.
Yeah, same, ditto.
Okay.
For
Okay.
me, fuel stop, it's just literally fuel stop, fuel stop, fuel stop.
I like to have one meal stop if I'm
Yeah.
going a
Sorry.
longer.
We'll talk about that too, in fact.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I
Mm.
just want to elaborate a couple of points, a
Mm.
couple of big points, but I just want to elaborate on those points. So, one is starting super early in the morning.
Mm.
I like to start my journey at
4 a.m.
least 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., a
Yeah.
couple of hours before sunrise hits, or you see that first, a break of light. And that's also when, say, the fuel level starts to drop, you fuel in, you change your visor, and you're off again. So that is one thing.
Like you mentioned the spare visor.
Yeah,
So what he means is he starts off, and
With a
so
clear
do I
visor.
with a clear visor, because at night time with the dark smoke doesn't work.
yeah,
The moment you get into sunlight, the sunlight starts breaking is when you change to a dark smoke or at least a light smoke for India,
yeah,
and that is where you cut out the harsh sun rays and stuff.
absolutely.
That is the fun of carrying a spare visor, and it's come on, nothing.
Nothing. I to tuck
Yeah.
it behind, under
Yeah.
my arm, and that's
Yeah.
where. There's also a separate topic on
Yeah.
that. Anyway, what I also like to do is have a cup of coffee before I leave.
Mm.
Coffee works differently on
Mm.
different people.
Yeah,
Like some people can sleep immediately after having coffee.
I can.
Like coffee for me is this wake up call. It's that extra wake up
Mm.
call. It helps me focus. It wakes me up. It gets me into this sense of I'm aware of everything,
Mm.
and it's time to be awake, and it's time to be
So it sort of charges you for the ride.
100%.
Mm.
And it's not just on a tour, but
Mm.
even in everyday life or even on a shoot. Because I mean, for us, motorcycling is special. It's something that pays us money, and we continue
Yeah.
doing what we do. And I think it's important to be awake, alert.
Mm.
And coffee for me is that thing. Do you have something before
Mine
you leave?
is completely the flip side. So
Okay.
I'm super eager, super energetic, and if you see most of my videos, I am too energetic. So before I set out for a ride, I have a green tea.
Oh my! You're getting old, dude.
No, but I've been having green tea since I was like 27 or something, and it just to calm the nerves.
Okay.
So even if I'm not having green tea, I'm having a cup of cold water.
Okay.
Okay, like a glass cold water, just so that I don't want to be super energetic and increasing my energy levels right from the start.
Got
Right?
it.
I want to build my momentum up.
Got it.
So I wanted to grow. So like when we went for IBW last year, right? I Arun and I, we were riding from Pune. We met you at Kolhapur, and that is where I had my first cup of coffee.
Got it.
Because at that point in time, I had reached a level, and I wanted a little kick.
Hmm.
Okay, that kick sustained to Amboli Ghat.
Hmm.
Amboli Ghat is when I started sweating a lot. Nimbu pani
Hmm.
helped me again calm down, bring my senses in control, and that's how I reached Goa. And then you know what happens in Goa.
Superb.
Yeah.
Let's talk about food on trips.
Hmm.
Do you end up eating a heavy meal?
No. In fact, I don't like to eat a lot on when I'm riding.
Hmm.
Okay. So even at shoots or anything of the sort, I am not the person who is going to eat a lot on a shoot because yeah, it might not sound believable, but yeah, I don't just for the reasoning is when I'm riding a motorcycle, all the vibration and everything it gurgitates the stomach.
Okay.
Okay, and sometimes I had if previously when I used to eat a lot and everything and all, it used to get stuck here,
Hmm.
and that's not a nice feeling when you have a helmet strapped and you are going at say 100 kmph, and it's not a nice feeling. So I try to limit my solid food intake. I rather prefer juices. I rather prefer liquids, milkshakes,
Hmm.
protein bars to a certain extent. But yeah,
That's about it.
that's the main thing. One vada pav or one misal pav,
Yeah.
Ranjan.
Uh,
That's about it.
yeah. I think in some ways I am with you on this page.
Yeah.
It's important to keep yourself hydrated.
Correct.
And that's why, and through the years I've realized
Oh yeah,
that hydration pack.
preparation, hydration pack. Carry a hydration pack, irrespective of where you're going in the
Yeah.
country, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Even in Leh,
yes,
you need hydration.
yes, you need.
Hydration keeps you awake. Hydration keeps you healthy. Hydration keeps you fresh. You're constantly losing water because you're inside a jacket.
People don't
Refill.
realize. People don't realize that the reasoning why they feel dizzy or anything
Or
in the-
headaches.
yeah, in the
First
in the
thing.
mountains is because they are not keeping hydrated.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if I'm going track versus off-roading, the amount of sweat I do, like say half an hour of track, I do it in 5 minutes of off-roading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hustle or whatever.
Yeah, but I need my hydration pack. That is something which I don't step out on a tour. So that hydration pack has to be there.
100%. Like,
And I'm not a big thing of a large hydration pack. So you
2
don't need
liter.
2 liters is fine. Okay, I'm not like a 3 liter, 4 liter because that also increases weight on your back.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I think just to sort of talk a little more about food, like I said,
Yeah.
I completely agree with you with food. And I also like to keep myself a little light because see, it's a very funny thing, but I don't like to take, I don't like visiting communal toilets.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, understood.
For the bigger deed, I don't like doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Understood.
And
understand that.
having a lighter stomach will obviously work in your favor. Take pee breaks as much as
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want, but
We are
just like a
blessed that males, but yeah,
Yeah.
you see the flip side for female
which is
riders.
just unfortunate.
Yeah, so it's even when I was riding with my former partner, I made sure that I planned my trip in such a way that in case she needed to take, say, a rest or something of the sort, there were adequate washrooms present,
Around,
right?
yeah.
So Pune, Goa, Kolhapur, McDonald's obviously is where you stop, and you know that the washrooms there are
Clean,
relatively
relatively
clean,
clean,
going to be that way. Plus, then you have this one restaurant at the foothills of Amboli Ghat. I don't know the name of the place, but you remember once you come out and there's a long left hander
on the left-hand side, the
yeah,
brick,
yeah,
the one
so
that
that's a good place.
Anand or something.
Yeah, so that is a good place. So I know that, and thankfully it did come to that point. But so correct me if I'm wrong, female riders in the comment section below. But yeah, they do require a little bit of extra research or planning because for fuel stops. So
and extra hygiene as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not just for women, but for men as well. I think the hygiene conditions on highways,
yeah,
it's just not there, man. It's just not there.
yeah, because again, touring is sort of a hobby, this thing. So the people are not akin to this sort of a lifestyle or anything. It's growing, it's developing. Hopefully in the future we will get better say food stops, food malls like you have on the Pune Mumbai Expressway. But again, that is something which will come over time. So let's be positive and hope that is there in
Even
the future.
popular routes are getting better.
Yeah.
Like we are from Mumbai and Pune, and routes
Correct.
around here, there are a lot of good food stops.
Correct.
And fortunately, there are restaurants and hotels that offer good washrooms. And I think that is pretty much sorted. But the moment you start going inroads, like, like small villages or small towns, and that's where it's a bit of a question mark. But again, it's a matter of progress, and I hope we get to that. Now, what is your take on this? Is touring safe in India?
It can be as safe as you would like it to. Let me say it that way, because motorcycling isn't safe. Firstly, okay, motorcycling, we've discussed it in the previous podcast also. It involves a certain risk. It involves the risk of injury or death in the most unfortunate circumstances. So it's not safe. Whatever you do to prepare yourself is only you're doing to make yourself um, take the necessary safety steps so that you are better prepared for in the eventuality of a mishap, right? But touring as such is safe when you think it is safe. So in that sense, you are not overexerting yourself. You are not riding at 200 kilometers per hour or going gung ho. Settle down, okay? Come back to a speed which is more sane, which is more apt for our roads. I have generally found it to be somewhere in between 100 and 110 on most bikes. If it's a slightly larger capacity motorcycle, you can extend it to 120, even though the bike has the performance capabilities of sustaining 200. India is not that country as yet, right? We are not exposed to expressways. We are not exposed to a lot of these good class roads as yet. And you have still cattle and stray dogs or any animal.
And people too.
I'll come to that. Jumping across,
Yeah.
okay? And even though they jump across, you can swerve and avoid it. The bigger worry, like I said, is the human, okay? Because once a human jumps, he will go here, there, here, there, here.
And
there,
you
here,
will
there.
get target fixated.
Yeah, and if you try to avoid him here, he'll run here. Then you are trying to go there.
He'll go there.
So
decide.
And more so, you can perception building in say remote areas isn't that much, because people over there are used to seeing bikes stuff at 60 kmph or 80 kmph at the max. When you are charging at them at 100 for them to realize that the bike is coming at that speed is a lot, and they won't understand that, right? So take it to 200 and he will not make that decision in a fraction of a second. So it's better to err on the side of caution. Drop your speeds. You are not going to reach your destination significantly faster. From versus 100 हो 120 हो या 200 करो, तुम उतने ही टाइम में पहुंचना.
Yeah. I have a very interesting concept, or rather an interesting thought to what you said. For me, when I'm touring, I like to have a higher average speed. When you are going really fast, and if you don't have the correct motorcycle, the wind is going to tire you out. And that only means that you're going to take more breaks. And in that sense, your average speed for the trip is going to drop. Like I remember this ride Jehan and I had on our way back from IBW. IBW or Ridermania? IBW. Last year.
Yeah.
And Jehan was riding a classic 350. I was on the 390 Adventure. And Jehan and I, we have this same thought process of taking less breaks and not stopping often. We left Goa at 5:30 a.m. or something. We were in Pune by like 12.
11:30. We were at Katraj.
11:30.
But then we got stuck.
11:30. Yeah. And we weren't going fast.
Yeah.
We just were consistent with our speed. Our average speed was just about, I think, 95 or average speed will be about 85, 90. Yeah. But we took maybe 2 breaks. One big breakfast break, and I think the second one was a loo break.
I think we took
one
three stops, but one was a break.
One was a break, which was the
Because-
breakfast, McDonald's wala.
But the other two were fuel stops,
Correct.
right? So you just gas it,
Go.
Okay,
And then we
gas,
took one break for breakfast,
Yeah.
and the third break was again a fuel stop. And
Yeah.
and it's possible. So if you are really worried about time, have like charter a plan, get your things in process, and you should be okay.
That's where the mindset comes in, right?
Absolutely.
So prepare yourself to be slow and steady rather than just
Dude, it all boils down to my motto: better safe than sorry. Like I would rather be 10 kilometers per hour slower,
Yeah.
but I would feel safer in that space rather than
What
being
is
20.
safety for you on the Indian road?
Safety is preparation. And just adding to what you said, I would like when I go touring for leisure, I want to go to places that are well known, roads that don't have a history of robbery and just incidents in general. And I want to be at those places. For me, touring is a disconnect. Touring is I would rather disconnect myself safely. Of course, there are some really beautiful places in nooks and corners of our country. The roads to get there might not be there. The infrastructure to get there might not be 100% today. But I like being safe, man. That's
Yeah.
my whole thing.
Yeah.
And there are incidents there in the past. There have been incidents where people have been pulled over with goons in a car chasing people with guns and stuff like that, and they have been robbed. And unfortunately, wrong time, wrong place, all of those things. So a lot of factors contribute to safety. One of the factors is waking up in the morning. I would want to keep myself as alert, as awake, as fresh as I possibly can for the maximum part of my journey.
Correct.
And the moment I start getting tired, figure out a solution to your tiredness. What is causing you sleep? Is it food? Go low on food, pick up hydration. Like figure out what's wrong and then go ahead and get your solution in place.
Yeah.
So in that sense, safety is number one. Everything has to fall into place, right?
Yeah.
If you're at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person,
Oh,
things can go wrong.
okay. Wrong person, like you said.
And that's what the next. I think I know what you're asking.
Riding in a group.
I knew it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you follow signals?
No, I don't. I actually don't ride in a group. I used to be a part of the CBR group. I lost a couple of friends on the road, but I just figured out with time and people that I can connect with only a few people. Shumi is one. I enjoy riding with you because it's not to do with riding. It's to do with the thought process. I don't like stopping. You don't stop as much. Shumi doesn't stop as much. So I like riding with those people. Or else I'm on the road alone. I'm more than happy at my own pace, listening to my own thing, doing my own business. I'm happy that way.
Yeah.
There have been instances where we have taken we have gone to IBW a couple of years ago with a bunch of office peeps, and it was not the best riding experience,
Correct.
but it was a different agenda.
Correct.
So I had to adapt and
Correct.
rewire my brain
Correct.
to that riding.
Correct.
But it was good, man. I love riding, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, so it is like you said, I have not been part of a motorcycle group ever. Okay, ever. So even the Rubber Smoking Angels, which is one of Pune's biggest rider group, I know a lot of people over there, and so I wasn't part of it. So I always say I ride with the Rubber Smoking Angels. I'm not part of the Rubber Smoking. So yeah, and one of the few of the senior members will of course curse me and make fun of me for that. But yeah, so that was the thought. But most of my riding friends become friends because I know how they ride. I know they know how I ride, and we have a certain level of comfort that we know we will not make stupid overtaking moves, or we are not going to go in this formation of sorts. That's why I hate
Group ride.
no, I hate these Independence Day rides, or the rides which say curated for say a manufacturer. This thing, Himalayan Odyssey and stuff is nice because you're maintaining a certain pace. But when you're going through one part of Pune to the other part of Pune at 25-30 km just to show that your bike is doing hang,
Doesn't work.
no.
Yeah.
I would rather be out on the road like we did with IBW, like like we've done a few trips at Zig Wheels with the boys, and the boys are akin to how each person rides. So um, I I am generally a guy who is riding at 100. Like I said, some of my peers were riding a slightly faster pace, so they were leading at the front. Certain were slower, so they were fine. But at no point in time did we lose touch with it, because we always made sure to be in somewhere the frame of vision. Thus, after 10 minutes, we used to, like, I used to either catch up to the guy behind, or I used to slow down for the other guy. And this is sort of a rhythm which we maintain. Both of us, when we did the IBW trip, we were at the same pace, so we were maintaining the distance. So in that sense, even when you go to international trips, right, international rides, you are riding at your pace. You have the lead rider. If he understands you, if he understands the faster guys are there, so he'll go faster. And then the slower guys come with the sweep. But if he understands that the entire group is slow, then he'll take it slow only.
Correct.
So finding your pace is what is crucial.
Yeah. One of the things that I absolutely want in a person that I'm riding with. So a couple of things actually. If I am leading, I want some distance between between the two motorcycles. Second, I should be in a position to see you through my mirror, because that gives me a sense of judgment on where you are. If I'm riding behind, I will make sure that I'm always seen in the mirror, and I'll keep my distance. I usually am a navigator. I'm usually a tailman. I find comfort in that.
Sweep.
I love that because I get a sense of where everybody is, who is left behind. I get my own take my own pace, stuff like that. You like navigating or?
I like being at the front of the pack. Mostly to do with so that any elements that come. So this has also developed over time, right? Like I wasn't lead right from the start. I used to be in the mid pack or stuff, but I like to be ahead so that I help out people behind me, or I can just tell them to go overtake or something of the sort.
Correct.
So but more so is respect, like you said, respect for the other rider. Like you said, maintaining that gap, maintaining the offset. So I always think that at least a 4 or a 5 bag gap is at the minimum necessary, or even if you are further away, but as long as you're in the mirror of the other guy, that is fine. And this is where some of the newer members of the Zig Wheels team, I'm trying to teach them or help them learn that when you're riding for, say, to the shoot location, look at what the lead rider is, look at where he's placing his motorcycle, because ultimately you might be a little offset, but you will be placing it there, especially around blind corners. That is the most trickiest part of riding. So you're not going at it too fast or too slow. You're slowing down your pace and stuff. So that is where group riding dynamics kicks in, and it only develops over time.
Yes, it takes time. 100% it takes time. Tell me about your best tour or best ride.
So one of the ones which sticks out in my mind has to be the Spiti ride, which I did with Triumph. So it was on the...
But this was a shoot?
No.
A leisure ride?
No. So Triumph does this splendid Spiti event.
Okay. So you're a part of the group.
I was part of the group. So Vijay Parmar led that group, and he is a fantastic guy to learn off-roading from. He is a no bullshit guy. He will tell you straight to the face of what you are doing and how much of a chicken you are. Let me put it in a nicer manner. How much of a chicken you are. And I was thankfully on the Tiger 800, and the 900s weren't come out of it, 800. And that to me is perhaps my most favorite adventure motorcycle to date. Okay. So on that trip, we started from Chandigarh, Shimla, Manali, Batesari. We did a loop of the Tabo, Nako and all that. But what stands out from that trip, of course, the scenery, everything is stunning. But the final day was Kaza to Manali. And fortunately or unfortunately, whatever, there was a cloud burst that day. 3 pipe bursts happened along the way. And so the lead pack was Shane, who is one of the guys with Vijay Parmar. Rishad Modi from Autocar, he was there, me, and one other rider. Okay, so the four of us, one of the pipe burst, we were separated from the group. So it was either we stop for the other group to come, okay, which is another group of like say 10-15 riders, or we make our way through this. So if I'm sitting, it's like waist level water on a tiger. Okay, so each pipe crossing or pipe burst crossing, water crossing, what we used to do is because there was four of us, three of us used to hold the bike at various points, and the one rider used to cross.
Holy.
We crossed, okay, the same routine. We go back go back through the water, next bike, and that is how we made it to Keelong. And at that time, Atal Tunnel wasn't there, so Keelong to Manali was another tiring stretch for me. But I reached the hotel in this thing in Manali, at 6 p.m. And I am trained. I'm tired. I freshen up and everything. The next other group comes in at 10:30. The first rider. The last rider comes in at 11:30.
Wow, that's crazy.
So they were thoroughly destroyed.
Exhausted.
Destroyed. So that is a trip that I so fondly remember, just because of the sheer variety of terrain I've ridden through. Because Shimla has beautiful roads. Okay, then Spiti roads were still being developed, and Vijay Parmar, being the off-road guru that he is, took us to a serious trail that only 6 of us made it to the top. So yeah, that trip covered everything for me.
Superb. My favorite trip was actually with the Aerox. It happened last year. I took it to Ridermania. And it was special because one, so here's the thing that I do. Every time I get a new vehicle, I take it to Goa. So the Z, when it got your toothless. Second day I was in Goa. Fourth day I was back. Fifth day service because it did 1,000. Similarly with this thing, I was a little late with the whole service schedule and all of that. But I finally got an opportunity to ride the Aerox and peacefully doing like 90, 85, 90, 85, 90, 95, stuff like that. One, I had changed my suspension. I'd gotten a bigger tank. I'd changed my rotor. And I'd gotten a Rhinox Navigator tank back. So everything was really good. So that stands out for me because one, no matter the vehicle that you have, or no matter the scooter or the whatever it is that you have, you can always tour on it. Bottom line.
Sorry to interrupt. What is like touring on a scooter? Because frankly, I have thought of doing it.
Yeah.
I was nearly going to do it for IBW last year on the N-Talk which I purchased. So that was going to be my first ride with it. But ultimately, because I was...
We should do N-Talk and I will take the Aerox again. Let's do it.
Chalo. But that's the thing. I was riding with Arun, who was on the V-Strom, so I wasn't going to keep up. So I took the Classic, which are there in the office. But what is it like touring on a scooter?
It's fun, man. One of the important things that you need to set in stone is the fact that you need to make peace with it. You are going to go late. You are going to reach late. As simple as that. You are going to reach late. It's going to be a nice... Once you set your mind and reconfigure everything and tell yourself, this is how my day is going to be. I'm not going to reach at 12 p.m. I'm going to reach at 2 p.m. If you're okay with that, you're going to have a lot of fun. What I also realized was that there's underseat storage. So I could store a couple of things here and there. So all in all, it was a really good trip. Like 1,000 kilometers to and back. It was superb. That I think pretty much brings an end to this podcast.
What is your worst trip?
Oh. What is my worst trip?
Or the worst day of touring that you've done? And why?
I think I wouldn't call it worst, but it was... let's call it worst. So we were shooting for a bucket list episode in Hanle. And it was not Hanle. We had done Leh. And we were in that region for the very first time. I was. And we were traveling from Leh to this place called Rumse. And in 2019, Rumse did not have proper accommodation. I think it still does not have proper accommodation. And we, at the last moment, we were literally scurrying for rooms. So we get there at about 8 p.m., 7 p.m., can't find rooms. क्या मिला ये, हाँ एक होम स्टे है, चलो घुस जाते हैं. And I always try to believe that once a ride ends, it ends. Everything has to be good after that. In this case, it wasn't. Because you had one washroom for like 6 people. The first guy who went in broke the toilet seat. First visit. Uprooted the toilet seat. And there were spiders in the room. It was crazy. There was a hole on like the ceiling through which you could see the stars. So the view was great. It was damn cold in the night. Took 5 blankets. You can see like giant spiders across the room. And the next morning was also not the best because
Yeah.
you're always in this thought कि यार spider काटेगा या कुछ तो होगा, ठंडी लग रहा है, whatever.
You'll become Spider-Man.
But I think that was a trip for the sole reason that when a trip ends or a day ends, it is relax, and it wasn't. So
In
it was
contrast, mine is
far worse.
not going to sound as dramatic. It was on the way back from the G Quad. So the final stretch of the Golden Quadrilateral was Gujarat. Okay, sorry. Was Gujarat to Pune. And you know this stretch of Hotel Fountain.
Oh no!
And this was, I was at Evo. We were doing this Golden Quadrilateral on the Benelli 300s.
Oh no!
Okay. So, yeah.
Just tell me a time. When did you reach Fountain?
Oh, no. I'll not say. I was at what is the Manor before.
Yes.
Okay, Manor is just like, should be like, say, half an hour from Hotel Fountain. So I was at Manor at 6 p.m. Okay.
Go on.
I was in Thane at 9 p.m.
Oh shit.
I was in Airoli at 10 p.m. I was at Kalamboli at 12 a.m.
So people who are actually who are not from Mumbai and Pune, this is a notorious stretch that is on the outskirts of Mumbai.
Yeah.
It's beyond Mira Road and Bhayandar.
And there is this just one spot.
One spot. It's such a critical junction because
which connects
Thane
Mumbai
and
stuff to Gujarat.
Correct. So it's NH8. NH8, it was NH8, I think. Something like that. And it's such a critical junction because you have traffic coming in from Gujarat and Vasai and Virar, and you have traffic coming in from Thane, and from people are heading out from Mumbai. It is always crowded.
Yeah.
It has been crowded since the past 10 years. It'll always be crowded until somebody...
10 years? Like when I was in school, we used to do... so summer vacations, I used to go back to my maternal grandparents' side. So we used to travel by car. My brother, my dad, my mom and everyone, we used to go. And it was traffic then. And this is what, 2005, 6?
Yeah. It's always been crazy.
So it's always been there.
So... Yeah, man, I can imagine. And even today, like a colleague of ours, an industry colleague of ours, Pratik, who stays in Vasai, he keeps putting up stories. And it's just crazy. The roads are bad. The junction is terrible. It's just bad management also, I feel.
Yeah.
But anyway, that brings an end to this podcast of ours. We have to give a song recommendation.
Oh, last time it was...
I have to always search for it, yaar.
Okay, let me also search my playlist.
Okay, chal, I got it. Should I say mine?
Haan, bol do.
I'll say Where'd You Go? Where'd You Go? From Fort Minor. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Fort Minor, where'd you go? Right.
Okay, I am still confused between two, but okay, let me just put it. Rem, Losing My Religion.
Kick ass. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, just to reiterate, these links will be there in the description. The playlist link will be there in the description. And that's pretty much it. PowerDrift Podcast, the PowerDrift Podcast is available on all major audio podcasting platforms and in the video format on YouTube. Drop us a like. Let us know what you want to hear next in the comment section. And Jehan and I and a lot more guests will see you soon on the PowerDrift Podcast. Bye-bye.